Hello and welcome to the Merle and Locke podcast. I'm Merle.
And I'm Locke.
Set sail and low expectations for everything nerd, accompanied by a healthy, albeit shameful, helping to pointless banter, lack of focus, and questionably acquiring knowledge.
And more.
And more. Now, Locke, this is a topic that you wanted to talk about. It was your idea, so
sure
if it fails, if this episode fails, it's your fault.
Oh, so much pressure.
Yeah. No pressure. No. But
Oh.
all the pressure.
Ah.
Yeah. Okay. So the topic was on subscription-based games. Now, this is one where, I don't know. At this point, personally, it's something that I've come to expect and, just be indifferent about. But I know that some people that aren't used to it get a little bit more sour about it. Now, what did you want to talk about pertaining to this?
It all comes down to what are the expectations that a lot of people have for your subscription-based games. Not just what are the expectations, but what should we be getting out of it? What is it that we are paying for with these subscription-based games?
I've always considered it to be like upkeep,
Right.
as far as like smooth running servers and what have you.
But there are some, and I'm not just naming one person in particular, but when there's one, there's more. There's other people with the same ideology. So why are we just paying for upkeep? Like, if I pay a base price, right? So, say subscription, for example, World of Warcraft, like we've talked about, you're already paying the $50-$60 for a expansion or new expansion. So you're paying for the game every single time. But yet, whenever you are no longer paying for the subscription, you cannot play as those characters you've come to grow and love, that you've leveled up all the way. You are now set back down to, hey, you can only play a level 1 through 20. You can't play any other favorite characters. I do feel that there is some good critiquing with that type of idea. Like, there were some other games in games past that I've played that if you weren't subscribed, there just were certain areas that were kind of blocked off to you. You hit an invisible wall, a paywall.
Right.
You go, I can't go there because I don't have the subscription.
Right. Yeah, I get that. Now, as far as that goes, it's the fact that they get away with it because they set the standard and people are willing to play ball. Enough people are willing to play ball that they can keep it going, and so they have no reason to change it, right? Because they're profiting off of it, and suckers like us are willing to pay the price.
Yeah, we're corporate shills, as I've been told.
Yeah. Now, I do like how, like ESO, for example, Elder Scrolls Online, how they did their subscription-based service, where they give you perks for it, right? So you get rewards, you get experience boosts, you get a whole crafting bank that all your crafting material just goes into, and you don't have to worry about it taking any bank inventory space or personal inventory space, which is, man, like that in itself is worth the $10 monthly subscription to Elder Scrolls Online, which is amazing. Now, when I said upkeep, it makes me think of Destiny, right? Like Destiny 2, which is a game that I love, that is I guess it's pretty much an MMO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you play online with a big community who's also doing like these dungeon-esque things. I guess they're still considered dungeons in there. I'm not sure. I've only played Destiny 2 with you like once or twice, and then that was kind of it.
Right. Yeah, and they don't have a subscription service, and they like I think Bungie still owns it, but they come out with like little expansions and stuff all the time, that are reasonably priced, and they don't have the subscription service. So there was one point where they're like, hey, we have to shut down like these certain areas of these particular storylines that are old, because we can't run those areas anymore. I guess, like, as far as like server load and what have you. They don't have that constant revenue coming in
Mm-hmm.
for subscription services,
Right.
right? Like that's what the idea that I got from it. There may be another reason. I'm not really sure, but I feel like that's the reason that they can't keep those servers up for those old storylines for people to roam around in and do old content. They just don't have the funding, to do so. And plus, like, base game Destiny, it's free. It doesn't matter what level you are. Like, you won't be able to like do, raids and storylines from like like newer content, but like you can play as much as you want for free, and you don't get cut off and forced to spend a subscription, like, in order to get access to all the new content. You just have to buy the newest expansion, which is like, what, maybe $30 or something like that. I can't recall exactly what their expansion costs are. I don't remember, but I always thought that was a good deal. But then again, like, you can't go back and do old content anymore because they had to get rid of that stuff. So whenever that argument is made as to whether or not the subscription-based service is worth it, it just makes me consider that fact, that, like, having Destiny as an example. Like, if we want to be able to do all the content that they've ever released, from day one, like, we gotta like put into it, right? So that they can keep it up. I mean, that's how I see it, at least.
Now, how would you implement some of those things? Let's say some of those ideas for ESO, or I wouldn't say some of the ones from Destiny, because you're saying about shutting down areas, and you can't quite do that with the World of Warcraft.
Right.
The whole idea is about exploration. I mean, that was the very core concept when they had designed it, was allowing you to explore all over. I mean, that's why even flying wasn't quite what it is now.
Right. I do like the whole concept about like earning your flight status. So, like, for flying mounts. So if nobody knows what we're talking about, like, there's this, like, you can get these mounts that you can ride, and when an expansion first comes out, like, you have to stay on the ground. You have to go through the paths.
Explore
fight enemies, explore everything that the area has to offer. And once you get like these certain levels of achievements, like usually having to do with like exploring every aspect of the expansion, then you earn your flight status, which means you can get on your mount, whatever mount you have that has the flying ability, and you're able to fly over everything and just go more.
You essentially skip past all these things that your dev team and the designers had created for the world, which
Warcraft.
which I get why they want you to see them, to see the amount of work that was put into it. But at the same time, you and I both have to be accepting of the people who don't like that slow paced gaming style of just kind of free exploring. They like the fast paced. I want to get in and out
Yeah, I want to skip straight to like the end game content.
Well, I
That's
mean,
what some people do.
with a lot of alts, I get that, which I see what they have done, where if you have some alts or you made it so far on one character, then the rest of your characters can kind of go boop, right past all the junk
Yeah.
and all the at that point pointless stuff.
Right. No, I get that. Yeah, I get that. But it just makes me think of. So I know in a prior episode we talked about the fact that we are going to try to get my daughter to play World of Warcraft with us.
Yeah.
Now, an update on that. So she played a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But my God, she was so impatient about it. Like she did
I
not
could
like.
tell.
She didn't want to talk to the quest givers every time we like called her out, or we were like, hey, you're not even on the quest, like go back and grab the quest. And she's like, ugh, okay, I'll go get this stupid quest. And she'd talk to the quest giver and be like, I don't care, just give me the quest. And I was like, okay, all we have to do is get to level 10 and then we can go back through and we could play the class that you actually wanted to do, which was a Death Knight. She wanted to play as a Death Knight. And I was like, we just gotta get to level 10 and then you can play as a Death Knight. And we could do that campaign. And we got to like level 8 and she's like, I just don't want to play anymore. and she dropped out and she just wasn't into it whatsoever. And she was like every time I'm playing, she like looks at what I'm doing and she's like, oh, I want to do that. And I was like, well, you have to get through the tutorial first. I mean, we didn't even get through the tutorial.
Yep.
And she gave up. And she's like, ugh, why do I have to like go through all this crap just to get to that point? I was like, well, I mean, you have to earn it, right?
Right.
And she's used to this like instant gratification type stuff that which admittedly I know the appeal of that. Like I understand it. Like most people are like that, especially nowadays where like in Fortnite and stuff like that she plays. Like you could just throw money at it and you can get all this stuff, right?
Right.
Like I know there's certain things that you have to earn, like because I played Fortnite with her for a little bit, and there's certain like missions, like you have to do like all these missions, and then you earn something by the end of it.
Right.
And I understand there's stuff like that, but a lot of the time you just throw money at it, and there you go, you got your thingamajig, that you wanted.
That's been the ongoing issue that WoW's been fighting with, because you have a lot of your vet players who have been on for quite some time, whether they do like Mythic Keystone Plus dungeons or they like to do PvP, and there's certain things that are trapped behind doing those certain things. So if all of a sudden you turn around and go, this stuff is now an item that you pay for in the store or whatever, those people are kind of irritated because they work so hard to actually achieve that thing, when all they could do is just weighing it off until they have to pay for it or whatever. I get the irritation of it. I always understood the fact that unless I get good at a certain thing, I'm not going to get that one item that I seek, or unless I find a group that wants to get into that, I'm just not going to see it. That's plain and simple. And I feel it's a time where you need to learn to accept that you're not going to get it, or you need to work towards finding other like-minded people to get it. But I guess that's old ideologies. It is what it is.
I've always enjoyed the fact that you could earn something without having to pay for it. Like, I don't know, I don't know if there's like a negative stigma that I feel about paying for things, but like I've always hated, spending money on a game that I don't need to, that I have a way of just earning the thing on game through like certain accomplishments, like that's always appealed more to me because I feel like that's more of a status type thing where you can like you could show it off, the fact like, man, I went through hell to get this item. I spent so much time, I accomplished this thing which is kind of amazing, and I earned this trophy for it. Yeah, I don't feel the same way about things that I'd be like, yeah, I went on to the app store and I paid $20 for this thing. Like there's no story in that. There's no, great accomplishment except the fact that you have money in the bank, right?
Right.
That's not satisfying to me personally. But I don't know. Maybe that's just an old way of thinking, Maybe like a stubbornness is getting the best of us.
We're just getting older, and we have to learn to accept it.
Yeah, I know. As far as WoW devs go, I saw a little bit, like maybe like a little clip of an interview with a WoW dev, and he was saying something along the lines. I don't know exactly what it was pertaining to, but I know it can relate to this conversation. Is the fact that he said that ultimately we need to just move on because we've been stubborn for too long about certain aspects of the game, and we just need to move on and just give people what they want. And I feel like that could pertain to at least in some manner in relation to what we're talking about. It's just making things easier for people to achieve, which is disappointing, I suppose, in a sense. But you gotta get with the times. That's what the kids want, and you gotta appeal to the new generations.
Right.
And what they want.
But you also can't forget the people who brought you here. So there needs to be a nice medium where both sides need to cooperate and find a healthy medium for a game. I feel
find some common ground.
Right. I mean that goes its way even through all things that exist right now with your movies and whatnot. But that's something for another time.
But I feel like for the last 10 minutes, we've gotten off topic.
We have.
Yeah.
As always, here on the Merlin Lock podcast, off topic.
Can't stay on topic. Golly.
But, some people might enjoy this.
Yeah.
I have not heard a complaint yet about how over the place we are.
Man, we don't have enough viewers for that.
Until we get some people to complain to us, then we'll think about changing our ways and probably forget about what we had discussed.
About changing our ways. And,
but anyway, I do feel that there is a valid complaint to the not being able to play a game that you paid for, and time again. Because some of us have paid more than others.
Oh, man. No, that's true. Like, I feel like we should at least get permanent access to, like, WoW Classic or something, yeah? Like give us something that we can actually play continuously.
Right.
Without having to keep the subscription up.
Or, and here's the other idea that I had. Now, this has just turned out to be another WoW podcast, so I'm sorry about that, but it still holds true to some other subscription-based games. But no, here's an idea as far as World of Warcraft goes. Maybe leaving, because they have the time walking with Chromie, leaving certain timelines available for people who are no longer subscription, right? Either that or only the expansions that they paid for, right? Because we've all paid that very initial price of the first expansion, the very first game, Burning Crusade, Wrath, Kata, all of them. We've paid our dues.
Yeah, well, if they were to take a page out of Elder Scrolls Online's book, it's more of a, like, you have access to the entire story for the expansion that you paid for. You get access to everything at any time. You know, it's all yours. But they sprinkle in all these DLC dungeons and what have you. And you can't get access to those unless you're either on their subscription or you pay for that stuff separately, which makes the subscription totally worth it because you get access to all those dungeons.
I feel there is a difference to be said about ESO and WoW, right? And that's, I think ESO had an end game, essentially, for the main story. And then when they feel like adding more content, they just create another story. Versus WoW, its story is ever telling. They are still writing the story to the end of the world
of Warcraft. Okay. Man, I don't know. Maybe if we could find some kind of middle ground between the two, because I just, personally, I think ESO's subscription service is brilliant. I think it's a fantastic way for them to make a profit on it, to be able to, do upkeep and give people, perks rather than complete access to the game, which players will always have. They just give you perks for it, perks that make it worth it.
So, you could also take a page from Star Wars The Old Republic, right? Star Wars The Old Republic, you can't play as many alt characters. You can only have, maybe 5 active characters. So out of your plethora of characters, you'd have to choose 5 that you really like and have them active. And you can do almost anything you want, minus any new expansion stuff that they create. I don't know what expansion they're on now, but if you're not paying for the subscription, you can't do the most recent expansion. Now the only difference with that is SWTOR hasn't followed, you're not paying for each individual expansion that comes out. You pay for the subscription and you get all the content, even the most recent one.
Yeah, so it's pretty similar,
Yeah.
to ESO in that fact, yeah.
Right.
So I feel like there's something there, if I don't know how Final Fantasy does theirs.
I don't know either.
I've never played it. I feel like I've created a character, but then never did anything with it. But so I don't have any experience in that game. But I feel like they're evolving here, and I'm hoping that WoW will get on board with this.
Isn't Neverwinter also an MMO, right?
Yeah, Neverwinter is. Yeah.
Every time an expansion drops, you pay for the expansion, but I don't think you pay a subscription for Neverwinter.
Well, yeah, I feel like they barely have any players anyway, so that would be a bad idea to have a subscription service.
The last time I was ever on Neverwinter, there was a decent amount of people online.
Yeah, but one server. Well, I guess we'll see what the future holds for WoW. Hopefully they'll evolve in the right direction. And
that's right. Let's hope that the community can kind of band together and find a mutual ground, and that the devs will
listen. Listen.
I'm listening.
Thank you for joining us on the Merle and Locke podcast. If you enjoyed this banter, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Merle and Locke, or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.